certainly a strange one, isn't it? It's the new Deepal E07. You can get it in two forms in Australia, four-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive, single motor and twin motor. This is the entry rear-wheel drive version. I'll do a more detailed review with the all-wheel drive version soon, but for this one I thought we'll see if we can have some fun on the dirt here with rear-wheel drive. Power comes from a 90 kilowatt hour battery, feeding an electric motor at the rear axle, producing 252 kilowatts. Deepal claims 0 to 100 in 6.7 seconds. Now it's strange because it's not really a ute, like it does have a kind of tray in the back here, but it goes into the cabin. You can close that up and then close a window that pops up there as well. So it is like separated from the cabin if you want it to be, but this is all, you know, plastic trim and everything. You wouldn't want that out in the weather. And then obviously it's pretty small compared with a typical dual cab tray. But then if you close all this up, it kind of turns into a coupe, sort of, but it's a bit too sort of lifted, a bit too long, a bit too wide to be a sort of sporty coupe. Officially, it's classed as a SUV according to VFAX. So yeah, it's kind of mixing the best of both worlds, sort of. Although, yeah, it doesn't have the capability of a traditional dual cab ute and it doesn't really have the practicality of an SUV. But you know what? I actually don't mind it because it is so interesting. It's like a concept car where a company is showcasing what it can do, but doesn't put it into production. This is in production, you can actually buy it. And then inside, it is a huge cabin. It's actually a very big vehicle overall, but yeah, you've got lots of space, good driving position. It kind of sits a little bit low, unlike a typical dual cab ute, but then it's not really a SUV because it feels like a sedan almost, like it's really long and low and flat. And up on the dash, we've got this stuck-on laptop. I'm not a huge fan of these systems because everything is in that. If you want to adjust the steering column, you've got to go through multiple button selections, steering wheel position, then you use the little button on the side of the steering wheel to go in and out and all of that. You can find a decent position, so that is good. Same with the side mirrors, there's no button on the door. You've got to go through this touch screen. But you do have plenty of settings to play around with. You've got lots of apps and so on as well. Wireless phone charger, good amount of storage, and the trim and fit and finish and all of that is quite good. As we've seen with a lot of these new Chinese brand vehicles, interior quality, build quality, and material finishes are definitely right up there with the best of them, and sometimes exceeding the best of what the established brands can offer. Like all of this, it's not real leather, but it's kind of this soft touch fake leather that probably lasts just as long as leather, I don't know, but it feels just as good and it looks just as good. And up at the back, we've got this folding seat mechanism. So there you've got a decent amount of cargo space if you wanted to load in some flat pack furniture or whatever. You wouldn't put something like, you know, hard working materials in there, like building materials or sand or something like that. That's what I mean. It's not quite a ute, but you can get more than you can perhaps in a traditional SUV because it is so long and wide. And to pop the rear seats back up, just push this button and it all does it kind of automatically, but it does take a while. That's the temporary bulkhead, and it's got a window that slides up as well. We'll just wait for that to finish. All right, that looks like it's done. You've got a completely flat floor, plenty of leg room and head room. This is a massive vehicle. So if you're after a very large ute, but you don't really want full ute capabilities in terms of carrying heavy stuff, this could be an interesting option. It's fully electric, so yeah, you've got to keep that in mind. Decent range, about 600 kilometers range for this base model. The four-wheel drive version, 440 kilowatts. I'm keen to test that. That's got a slightly less range, but still quite good. I think it's about 570 or something like that. So still very good for an EV. Look at all the different adjustments and so on you've got from back here. You can open the full panoramic sunroof, which you don't get in most utes. Seat heating and cooling and temperature adjustment. But yeah, I think very interesting package. Look, it's not going to suit everybody, but it's good to have something like this on the market. Just breaks up the norm, gives us a bit of variety. It's not a standard dual cab ute that they all kind of pretty similar these days, and it's not the same, you know, standard large SUV that are all pretty similar these days as well. It's something different. With the roof back and the tailgate, the rear section open, you know, sunroof open, it's kind of got that beach cruising nature to it. Whether it goes off-road very good, I don't know. It does have these massive Michelin 21-inch 265/45 Pilot Sport SUV tyres. I'm not sure how they're going to go in sort of really rugged situations with the all-wheel drive, but on the dirt roads and so on, it should be fine. We'll test it out, do a bit of rallying and just see how it goes. It does have fully adjustable suspension, including height adjustable. Out on the road, look, it does have some quirks like the adaptive cruise control. You can almost see it thinking, like it hits the brakes and kind of jolts a little bit as it sees the cars in front. So I think they could tweak that a little bit. And it does feel quite heavy and floaty. It's 2.3 tons, but even in the sport mode, it's still quite floaty and so on. So I've got the suspension in the raised up mode and in the sport setting just to give us some firmness on the dirt road. Let's see how it goes. We'll do the performance test later on as well. All right, being a modern electric vehicle, there's no start button, which does have its downsides in my opinion. For example, you set up all the vehicle, as soon as you get off the driver's seat, everything resets. Although in this car, I've found that the air conditioning will stay on until you fully walk away and lock the doors. And some of the safety systems will actually remain off as well. So I've got the lane departure warning, speed limit warning, and all that sort of stuff turned off. I get out of the vehicle and I get back in again and it's still off. So that is handy because without the start button, I find it a little bit annoying in some vehicles where everything just resets. Okay, I've definitely got the suspension in the highest setting and in the sport mode. So it's nice and tensioned up. I'll just take it easy to start with. I've got the stability control turned off as well, just because I want to see how the platform handles and see how much traction we have and how the drive system actually works as well. Is it just going to spin away the power to one wheel, or is it actually going to try and give me some stability and control and a bit of sideways action? Decent traction. That's pretty much full throttle, but I just sort of eased it on and it didn't start sort of squirming and spinning until the last bit. Now this doesn't have awesome ground clearance, but even so, through that little crossing it was okay, nothing scraped. Okay, it is spinning both wheels, that is good. It's not just spinning away the power to one wheel. I'll just take it easy to start with, just to see how that suspension reacts. It seems like it's pretty tensioned up. A little bit of a couple of potholes and dips just here. Yeah, it seems to be quite sturdy. It's just that initial suspension stroke is quite soft. Decent traction getting up there. I'm not surprised. The Michelin Pilot Sport tyres are always really good on road cars, so being SUV versions of those tyres, I suspect they've done quite a bit of testing to get good traction out of them. So it's not completely predictable, but it does kick out sideways. I think one wheel is spinning a little bit faster than the other, which kind of rotates the car, pushes it in a certain direction. And that was with about quarter throttle. I think the trick there is with powerful EVs, although this is 250 kilowatts, it's not that powerful for an EV, still quite a lot of power, and it's instantly available. And I think the trick is when you're sort of rallying or off-road, you've got to just really ease it on, because remember, there's no transmission here. This gear will go all the way to top speed, whatever it is, 180, 200 kilometers an hour. So if you give it full beans, it wants to spin the wheels all the way up to that speed. So if you just sort of ease it on, it's actually pretty easy to control and pretty predictable. I can feel the stability control is still on a little bit, like there's a safety net. If it goes a bit too wild, it will sort of grab and cut the power or grab the wheel, which is a little bit annoying. It'll be good to be able to just turn it completely off, because if I'm in a mid slide and it grabs the wheels, I've got to recorrect very fast, because I wasn't expecting it to do that. So just then, it's sort of, that's not me doing that, that's half throttle the whole time, and it's sort of grabbing the wheels and and pulling me into line. I mean, it's safe, but if I've turned it off, if I've gone out of my way to turn the stability control off, in my opinion, it should be completely off. Like I've selected to do that on purpose. Yeah, that's about quarter throttle. It's just spinning away a little bit, but still controllable. I think if you just gave it full beans, it would, well, it'd probably run into that safety net first, and then it will, or it would just spin too much. But decent control. The front end is a little bit floaty in my opinion. I'd like it to be just a little bit more tied down. Obviously it's not made for rallying, but it's got a decent amount of control there, but just, yeah, if it was just a bit more tied down, I think it would feel even nicer. See if we can get a bit of a slide going here. Sort of, it's grabbing the wheel a little bit. But that was just, yeah, very minor throttle just to kind of keep it going and, you know, tell the stability control, no, I want to keep going. I know what it's doing. Obviously I don't want to give it full power, but just a little bit more would be nice. But you know what? Overall, this is a bit of fun. If I had a paddock or something like that, or went camping and just wanted to have a bit of fun, you can do that even with this rear-wheel drive version. I suspect the all-wheel drive version is only more exciting and, yeah, more capable. It wouldn't run into the stability control system as much because it's got four-wheel drive obviously, but we'll try it out. Spinning a little bit on that harder surface. That's full throttle. Picking up speed, like it's actually got really good traction. Considering this is rear-wheel drive and got instant power and torque available, it's actually not bad at all. But there's just no sound, so it's kind of unusual. You don't really have that reference point of what's going on with the engine, what's going on with the powertrain. Obviously when you're driving it, you know when you're pushing your foot, but yeah, to a viewer, you know, you watching, you don't know what I'm doing exactly, so you don't know how the vehicle's responding. But it's actually not too bad. I'm surprised it hasn't bottomed out yet. I've been quite gentle with it, but it hasn't actually just even, you know, just clipped the underbody a little bit, or just, you know, a wishbone or something like that. It's actually, I know this isn't super aggressive terrain, but there's a few bumps and potholes and so on. As I said, this is quite heavy. You can hear the tires, they're almost like squealing, like on tarmac, but it's on dirt. Yeah, to be honest, that's actually not too bad. It's look, you wouldn't want to take it off extreme off-road. Like I think it's going to start scraping the front end or something like that. But over this sort of dirt road, a few little bumps and potholes and so on, it didn't scrape out, and it wasn't too cushy. I thought it was going to be very soft and actually just bottom right out easily, but it hasn't bottomed out once, so that is quite good. And it's been a little bit of fun. Rear-wheel drive, obviously, so you can play around. The four-wheel drive version is probably what I would pick. It's not that much more expensive. This is around 65,000. The four-wheel drive version is only like 74,000 or something like that, roughly, before on roads. Pretty good deal for the amount of kit you're getting and the amount of kind of vehicle you're getting. Like there's a lot of material, a lot of space in here, and technology, obviously. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they go from here. Like, make some tweaks to the stability, the adaptive cruise control, make some tweaks to this touch screen so it's not all involved in the touch screen, and yeah, just a bit more tied down the suspension in the sport mode, which they could do because it's kind of software based, and I think you've got yourself a bit of a fun package. All right, let's go off now and do the performance test and see what it goes like.